All right, so welcome to the podcast. If you're listening, if you're watching on YouTube, welcome. Today I have with me the wild Jeremy Schulz, owner of Beats from the Core, internationally known drummer. This man is everywhere, and in a little while you're going to find out exactly how everywhere he is. He's got something sick planned that is going to it's going to change people. So
Ah,
oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I want to blurt it out right now, but
yeah.
I'm gonna hold it just a little bit. So Jeremy,
Thank you very much for having me. Thanks for the intro.
yeah, I'm so excited to talk with you. So we actually met in San Antonio, Texas,
Mm,
almost a year ago. It was last April. And
right. Okay.
you made such an impact on me. And my daughter, because Horizon came with me, and Horizon was so happy, and she still says, Jeremy gives great hugs.
Uh,
You're such an awesome dude with so much passion. And that is the main reason why I wanted to do this interview with you, because I think just your life experience, you
mm,
bring a lot to the entrepreneur community. So
right.
do you want to
Yeah.
tell
Thank
us,
you.
how'd you get started drumming? Like, were you born this way? Were you drumming
Yeah.
internally? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yes and no. My journey from drumming is a bit different than most people's. Um, my mom got me started drumming when I was, like 9 or 10. I battled with Tourette and stuttering really super bad. Talking was one of the most difficult things to me, and I had all these tics, and it was just like off the charts. My mom got me into drumming, and I used to come home and sit behind my drum set. And before I fell in love with drumming and like playing in bands and stuff, I used to sit behind my drums, and I would pretend that the drum set were kids at school, and I was just having a conversation. So like the snare drum would be me, and so I would talk back and forth. So like I'd be like, "Hello, hi," right? Because I would watch people talk, and they would have like this fluent conversation, and when I tried to talk, it was like da 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 da, right? So and so I barely talked to anybody. And so I would sit behind my drums, and it was like this, it was like a way for me that it was the only way that I knew how to have like a fluent conversation. And I would sit there for hours, like hours, until I come home. And so it was my safe place. And my parents were divorced, very chaotic childhood. So it was a place that I always went back to, right? Fast forward into high school, uh, found out that girls like guys in bands. So then I was like, oh, okay, right, yeah. So yeah, so then I started taking it a little bit more serious, and fell in love with music and yada yada, all of that. And still through high school, I had straight Fs. The only reason why I graduated was, I was about to be 20 years old, and the principal's like, we're not gonna have a 20-year-old senior, so you're gonna graduate. I'm like, all right, cool. And that was in '92, and I put my drums in the back of my truck. I grew up in Redding, California, and I drove up to Seattle, and I found myself in the '90s in a internationally touring band, just like right off of the bat. And so I was touring, really finding my way, and I hit a plateau in my playing. So I went to the Seattle Drum School, and that's where my life changed. That's where everything changed, because I met my mentor. I met the one person who changed my life forever, the owner, Steve Smith. And by this time I was almost 30 years old, and Steve had asked me to teach. I'd already been taking lessons there for like a couple of years. They didn't have like any rock guys. Everybody was from Berkeley. And I told them, I was like, no, man, I can't teach. Like, I was in special ed, and I literally told him I'm not smart enough. And he was like, the fuck, like what, like that makes no sense. And so he was the first person in my life that he didn't he didn't accept that. Like, what he taught, he was, and I hadn't had anybody tell me that I didn't have to take the condition that I grew up in, right?
Yes.
When you're in school, and when you go out, when you're pre-adult, when you get into adult, nobody tells you that you don't have to be like that. It's almost like you're formed, and then they put you out there, and you're like, hey, guess what? You have learning disability, and you're like, wow, okay, cool. And then so Steve was like, bullshit. And so I told him, no, I'm not going to teach. Well, I wanted to be a professional drummer, and then it got handed to me, and I said no. Like, what is that, right? So he made cards and started booking me students, and so he like threw me into it. So fast forward a year later, he let me go through the school. I got my music degree, and I started teaching. I started becoming a professional drummer. I started teaching. I was getting studio gigs, and that is what I call, that was my spark of genius. I said, hey, if I could learn how to read and write music, transcribe music, I could learn how to teach, then I could learn how to do a business, right? I started getting entrepreneurial, and now I own, I left the Seattle Drum School when I was touring a whole bunch. And about 5 years ago, I opened up my own school, brick and mortar school. And then started teaching on my own. And I was touring a lot, and I had my students out there in Seattle asked me, they didn't want to get subbed out. So I started giving them online lessons. And then I went through this divorce, got rid of everything that I owned, and was traveling for 3 years, even still to now. And then I moved my brick and mortar school to all online, where I have students all over the world, and I do a teacher training program that where I teach other musicians how to be virtual music teachers and be able to teach online effectively and like that. So that's the quick, down and dirty version.
Yes, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I love that story about the Seattle school. I love that. When I heard you say that the first time I met you, I was like, wow, that is really like what I'm all about. It's that relationship that you have with yourself. And that's what puts the limits on us, is because it doesn't matter how much other people tell us something, we have to learn to believe it ourselves. And once you believe it yourself, boom, limits are gone.
And you're so right. So my teacher training program, when I got, I started getting asked by all these musicians. They're like, I'd be out on the road and I'd be teaching and stuff. And in the teaching industry, if you have, so everybody could go out there and teach. The hardest thing is to have student retention, right? So my students stick with me 5, 6, 7, 8 years. All right. So how does that happen? Well, you just talked about a connection with yourself. I actually made, I have this whole that I made, my teacher training program. I made these 4 core principles that I use for every single lesson. And the first one is connection. So it's connection, discovery, empowerment, and positive self-esteem. And so the connection is, what happened was Steve Smith, he was, so not only was he giving me lessons, but he was teaching me how to teach. And so here I was, like, when I was 30, I was still like stuttering super bad. And my, the part of my I had like these, these weird ticky things where I would walk and like slap the bottom of my shoe for like, not 1 or 2 times, for like 3 hours, like, right? You'd slap this, and I'd say all these weird words, and oh my God, it was just gnarly, right? So Steve would have me, every time I sit behind my drums, I would play very much how, I would play my personality, right? Everything was wild and just, so Steve would make me sit behind my drums, and he put on, what a metronome is? Metronome, right? It keeps time, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So he would put on a metronome really slow, and he would have me play really slow. So I would play super slow, and then I would like sing other words. And what happened was he really slowed me down, and he made me get this connection, like this, like, so like, it's like a yoga class. And it started repairing my brain and my stuttering. And 5-10 years later, you know, it's like there's practicing this interconnection literally changed everything. It's what gave me my business ideas. It gave me confidence. So I put that into, I started teaching my students like that. And then I saw kids getting off of, or I saw older adults getting off blood pressure medication. I saw kids, their grades were improving by playing the slow thing. So it's like connection first. Yeah. And then inside of their slow connection, I just let them sit, and then this thing happens, and it's like a discovery. They're like, whoa, I was hearing these rhythms. So that's discovery. And then you let them do it themselves, and then they get to own it. They have like a win inside the lesson. That's the empowerment. And then you tell them what you did, and that's a positive self-esteem. They leave every lesson like that. Boom.
Yes. I love that. I love that. That's such good structure.
Right.
I love that.
You know, thank you.
And it really is, like, once you get in touch with that inside, it's, gosh, everything changes so fast. It's
right.
For anybody who hasn't experienced it yet, like, I want everybody to be able to experience that, because it's crazy, it's magical, it's different.
Yeah, thanks. It is. Yeah, it is, man. It's been, you know, yeah, it's changed everything. You know, it's like the last few years, you know, yeah, you know, I've done more teaching than playing in bands. It's what really fuels me now.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So I can't hold it in because I want to talk about it.
Okay.
Tell everybody, what are you doing? What is your big thing that's going to happen?
Okay, so
I don't wait to release this until after your page is like up.
Okay, great. Yeah. You know, so when I moved to New York City in July, and shortly after I had moved there, you know, and when I say moved, I just got a place for like 6 months. I've been traveling for the last 3 years doing my online lessons, right? So when I moved there, I'm from a town in Northern California, Redding. That town caught on fire and burnt up, and so I didn't have, you know, that affected my family and my friends and everybody that I knew. So I came up with this idea called Beats for a Cause, and I called up drum instructor, or I called up music instructors that have went through my program and other ones that I knew, and I said, hey, let's give lessons for like a week or so, and then ask for donations for the lessons, and we could donate that to the fire victims. And so we did, and it was great, and I got a lot of feedback, and I was like, man, I really want to be able to continue to give through Beats for a Cause. So you know, when I was teaching at the drum school, you know, private music lessons are very expensive. Like what I do is between $50 and $80 an hour, right? Pretty much everywhere. So the kids that are able to have 1 hour lessons, right? You know, you're talking $280 a month, right? You know, they their parents have, that's an investment. Yeah. So mostly the kids that get to do this, I'm not saying that their parents are rich, but they can afford it. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, as somebody who went through special ed and all of this, you know, I think, you know, there's all of these kids who don't have these voices, and like, you know, who are just being forced out to be set on their hands, and they can't afford drum lessons. Let's say, like, you know, if their moms are working like 3 jobs or whatever. I said, man, I want to be able to put together a scholarship and raise money to where I could help kids that are in need of this, you know, to get music lessons. So I decided that I was going to do a fundraiser, and I wanted it to make a big big point. I wanted it to, it's got to be big enough to reflect my passion, about how passionate I am. So the only thing that I could think of was that would even equal that would be, I would do a pledge walk. You know, everybody's really familiar with the pledge walk. So on April 20th or 21st, which I haven't worked out that detail, but one or the other, is I'm going to walk from the Brooklyn Bridge all the way to the Sundial Bridge in Redding, California. And it's going to be a total of 3,900 miles. It's going to be between 5 and 6 months. And I'm selling every mile for, for charity. Well, not for charity, but to, as a scholarship to help out these kids. And it's going to be the Walk Across America, Beats for a Cause. And I'm going to vlog it. I'm going to YouTube it. And I'm going to put up a GoFundMe and invite other people to go out for walks and hashtag it and stuff like that. So that's what I'm doing as a way to, I had a mentor that saw more in me than I saw in myself. So this is like a way that I could give back and hopefully be able to pay for kids' lessons, and then they get a mentor. And what if they're able to, help somebody out, or even if they don't help somebody out, if they get lessons and they're able to blossom, that's just going to help society in a whole.
Yes, absolutely.
Right?
So I have a random concern here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have somebody bringing you new shoes? Because you're going to wear out the sneakers. Like, have you thought about the shoes?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you buy them as you go.
Okay.
Yeah. So the dudes that I know that have done this, it usually takes about 4 pair.
Okay.
You should go through 4 pair. And I'm doing the whole thing. I'm very much in, like I said, I'm very much into minimalism. So like I don't I'm doing the whole thing in Vans.
Okay.
In Vans, because it's almost like bare feet.
Yes.
So I'm just going to do the whole thing in bare. I'm not going to wear like that unless I have to walk through snow, and that's going to suck. But I'll just deal with that. I'll just deal with that. Yeah.
So do you already have your route planned? Or are you going to put the route out there for people to see, like where's the beach so they can meet you?
Yeah, okay. that'll be I'll have that all solidified, by the time I go. And it might change on the course, but yeah, I'll be, all that's going to be done through social media and all that.
Awesome.
Beatsfromthecore.com and all of that stuff. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So for anybody who's listening, it's Beats, BEATS FROMTHECORE.com. If you're watching on YouTube, click on the link in the description, and that will hook you right up directly with Jeremy so that you can follow this. If you are an entrepreneur and you're listening or watching, this is somebody we need to support. Like, as entrepreneurs, we need to get together and come out here, because this is huge. And then I want all the parents to come out, because this is huge. So even if people can come online and, maybe they can't purchase a whole mile, but give something, like whatever they can give it, because every penny counts, and it's going to really make a huge impact on a lot of kids who really would benefit.
It's going to be awesome. Also, thank you for that, by the way. It's also I'm pretty active on Instagram too. So it's just Beats from the Core, and then a little underscore at the end of that. And I've got all kinds of people that hit me up. I do so many lessons off of Instagram. Instagram is a brilliant community. I love it. And I'm always, Instagram is my biggest platform, and then YouTube, and then, and of course, there's lots of updates on my site and whatnot. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen music change. So besides doing my online stuff and entrepreneur, I'm also a therapist. So that's actually, I'm in my office. I've seen music change kids who have ADHD, kids who are suffering from depression, kids who are having suicidal thoughts. Like, I have
Absolutely.
literally seen, and the first homework assignment I give anybody is I ask them to go home and find a song that represents where they are right now in life and another song
Mm,
to represent where they want to be in the future.
wow.
So music is so powerful, so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is, yeah, it's, um, this whole, I remember when this dawned on me. So my teacher training program started out, I was actually going to write a book about the effects that the teaching had. I finished the book, and I actually called Kimra Luna,
Uh-huh.
right?
Love camera.
Yeah. And she was my first business mentor. And I told Kimra, I was like, I just finished this book, and how do you get a book published? And and she checked out all my stuff, and she got back to me, and she's like, dude, it'd be a disservice to make this a book. You need to make this into a program, because if you could train other teachers how to do this, that'll make a huge impact, right? Like,
Yes.
what if 10,000 teachers learned my 4 core principles and they all had 40 students,
Yes.
rather than just like reading a book and being like, oh, that's cool, right? They actually implemented it. So one of the main things in the book was, I remember when I was teaching at the Sale Drum School, I was 4 or 5 years in, and there's this older gentleman, and he came in. He had gotten a gift certificate, and so he was like this exec, and it was kind of like a gag gift. He was in his 60s and stuff, and so he told me, he goes, Jeremy, he goes, look, I'm not really. He's like, I've never played any instrument in my life. He goes, my sister got me this, and it's just kind of a joke, and I don't want you to really waste your time. And so I didn't know how to teach him, because there's this thing that happens in music school where everybody wants to teach their students and make them into a prodigy. So they're very notes focused, and and they worry about like a technique and stuff. And this is when the whole paradigm shifted. So I was like, well, I'm not going to spend time teaching this guy technique. Why? Right? Because we're only gonna have four lessons, right? I'm not gonna teach him how to read, because that's like. So I turned on an AC/DC song, and I was playing. I was like, here, just hit the bass drum when I hit it, and we hit it. And he was like, whoa! And you know what he said? He was like, what? He was like, whoa! I totally connected with that. So there's that word, connection.
Yes.
And I was like, whoa! So we did it again, played same thing, and then he did the kick and the snare. By the end of the lesson, he had made a connection and a discovery, and then he did. So fast forward, we get to the end of the 4 lessons, and he's like, hey, I'm going to sign up again. Okay. Fast forward 2 years later, here's this guy in his 60s, he was like this, he was, had like this really high paying job. He had gotten off blood pressure medication. And here I was going to see his band play at the same clubs that the guy had never played before. He was in a band. Not only was he playing, he was reading charts while he was playing. Okay. And so he's like in a band, he's like dropped all of this weight and everything. And started with the 4 core with this connection thing. And he was like, man, it just like blew him up and everything. So it was like, that's literally how this whole thing started.
That's so awesome. That's such an awesome story. I love that. Yeah,
Right.
it really can, right? Because music it reduces stress.
Mm-hmm.
And being able, I mean, listening to it is one thing, but being able to physically make music and hear that and feel it inside of you, that's life changing.
Yeah.
I love music. I'm slightly obsessed with music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is so cool.
Oh, yeah. So that's that's the premise of the program, and so now I just nomad around. Like I said, I'm in this awesome studio today in West Virginia. Got all of this, and been doing my lessons here, and I'll be down in Dallas in a couple of weeks, and then back to New York City in a couple of weeks after that. And yeah.
So how is it like? How do you feel like you have connections with like specific people? Like, I guess, do you have like your people? You know what I mean? Like those people that you always go to, who always have your back and are there for you. Do you have that group of people?
Well, I do. Life is different. That's changed throughout the years.
Yeah.
I think you know I I used to have that, what I would say, oh yeah, those are my people and those are my people. And then what I have now is more important than that. I have myself.
Yes. Yes. I love
Right.
that. Yes.
And that came from a very painful, unexpected divorce, right?
Yeah.
I was married for almost a decade and stuff, and I had a divorce. I was texted my divorce when I was out on the road, and so it came out of the middle of nowhere, and and I built for 10 years built we had friends together and everything, and all of that went away. So did I had my people there. House cards fell down, and you find out who your people are when it's inconvenient to be around you, right? Who's gonna stick that out? So instead, I worked on building myself up and really being able to work out the flaw. Well, I can't say work out the flaws. We all have flaws, but I worked on bettering myself to the next level, instead of dwelling on it. I just got to work and healed and rebuilt my business, rebuilt my life, and really learned how to be confident. Really, I forgave myself and all that. And so now I'm attracting a whole different type of person, one that really reflects that, reflects walking in morals and stuff like that. So now it's cool because when I, just recently I've gotten back into the dating game, and
All right.
which is we live in a weird time now.
We
The
do, right?
whole, yeah. Yeah, what a freaking trip that is. But anyways, but yeah, so now that I've stuck with traveling alone and just really having enough alone time and really building up myself, man, it's great, man, because it's like I have these filters, my own. It's like I know, and I try to do it without judgment, but I can know if I'm compatible with somebody like that.
Yes.
And it's pretty cool. And there's not like this dependence. It's like, man, I hope they don't like me. Like, I like me. I wake up feeling great about myself. Even when I'm not feeling great about myself, I feel grateful for myself. So being able to walk in that space, it's like I'll go out on a date with somebody, and if that reflects that, then we're good. And if it doesn't, then that's fine too.
Yes, that's one thing when I work with people who are dating or about to start dating. I always tell them, because they stress out and they're like, well, what if he doesn't like me? And what if they think this? And what if they think that? And I always say, who cares? Because at the end of the day, if everybody in the world were to perish, you would be left with your own thoughts of who you are as a person. And that's it. And I've been married 24 years, and it doesn't matter. When I used to go to this dark place, my husband could lay right beside me and love me to death.
Right.
But I was the most alone person in the world because I was thinking differently about myself. So yeah, you have to be so in touch with you and
Right.
have boundaries and know not everybody's going to like you and not every relationship is going to work. And
Right.
that's fine. But if you go into it looking for this external validation, that right
Yes.
there is a red flag that you need to stop, chill, and fall in love with yourself and then go out and look for somebody.
Right. Right.
Yeah, because
Right.
like you said, the dependency. You don't
Hmm.
want to get into something where somebody needs you. You want to be with somebody who wants to be with you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And like they say, you hear this in the entrepreneur circle all the time, that you're the sum of the 5 people that you hang out with,
Yeah.
so, so like, yeah, so like, you hang out with a bunch of negative Nancy's,
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
you know?
Problem hoarding. That's what I call it. Because that's what you're doing. It's like negativity hoarding.
Right.
Not
Yes.
good. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. 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 So, I met a girl recently, just about a week ago, and was one of the only people that I have met who, like I've never owned a TV. I don't do TV. I play, write, I'm about to come out with a poetry book. So it's like, I play, I write, and I read books, old school, right? So, and it was cool, man. This chick, like she's a traveler, she's is like an airline stewardess and stuff, and she she doesn't watch TV and she reads book, and we're talking about like how hard it's been being out on dates, because it's like they're like, oh, this program and that, and I'm like, so it's like there's already not this connect and stuff, and so we had a great conversation. We talked about books and everything. I'm like, oh, this is great. I love this. It was awesome. And when you're a gypsy and you travel a lot, it can be very insecure for people who don't.
Yes.
That's one thing that I have learned.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, if you're an entrepreneur that has a lot of travel or wants to something, I'd say, that's something you should look at in your relationship and find, if you're probably very much more compatible with somebody who takes on that role as well. They travel because then you're not, you don't have somebody just going to work and coming home and texting you and wishing that they were there, so.
Yeah, because that guilt can weigh you down when you feel
Right.
bad that you're leaving somebody behind, but you're
Right.
not. It's just different life choices. And
Right.
I've interviewed Christine Horn. You met Christine, didn't you? That
I
she's
think so.
an actress. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So when I interviewed her, she was talking about a relationship, and she said, I told them that this is about me. So if you can't handle this, then basically you got to go. I'm kind of paraphrasing, but her bottom line was, this is her life, and you're either in it with her or you're not in it at all.
Right.
And that's really, it has to be that way, because at the end of the day, it is about you. And what happens when you do get that random text that says, by the way, I want a divorce, or by the way, we're broken up. If
Right.
you live with regret, and you're the only person who has to live with the regret of not
Right.
going after
Right.
what
Yeah.
makes you.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. When I was married, I was with somebody who, like, I toured all the time. I was always on tour, and when I wasn't touring, it's like I was always writing and practicing, and like I wake up, like I am just, because you've met me, but I have like this, I don't know if it's a character flaw or what, but I can't help. I wake up so fucking stoked every day that I just can't like get over it. I just wake up and I'm like, and it's, and so if you're with a partner who doesn't share that, then there becomes resentment, and that's, that's what happened. It's like, man, I wanted to just, jam every day, and then write music, and then I'm teaching, and then at the same time I'm trying to build a business, so I'm learning how to build a business and do online marketing and do this and not like that, and so yeah
It's definitely a different world. Not that there's anything wrong with going to work. I'm all for
exactly
work. Like, everybody's got to choose their own path. But I think entrepreneurs, we are just different because we're so driven. And sometimes it's hard to shut off because I don't know about for you, but for me, I want to keep going and I want to keep doing because I'm so passionate about what I do. It's just like
Hmm.
never ending. I'm like, I want to go and go and go. So that
Right, right.
chill time is sometimes hard, but I
Yeah,
do love to go
yeah.
camping and just be in the silence of nature. Like,
Oh,
be out there. I love that.
yeah. I love that too. You know, I drove a van around the US for a year and a half. I decked it out. I put a I put hardwood floor in. I had like a kitchen and a bed and everything. I kept my drums in there, and I did drum lessons out of my van and drove all over the entire country. And it's actually in two different documentaries.
That's so badass. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
Yeah. I have. They showed me. So like, I met these other vanners up in Washington, and we drove all the way down to like San Diego, and so like we'd be surfing or whatever, and then my alarm would go off, and I'd run up to my van, and I'd do drum lessons for like 3 hours. I get done with my drum lessons, I go back to surfing, and they were these Australian dudes, and they were making this van life documentary, and they followed me around for a couple of days, and they're like, yeah, dude, we want to watch you, like teach out of your van and stuff like that. And so I did. And so, yeah, like that whole camp, like, I love to live like that. I love it. I love
Yes,
it.
that is so cool. I do
That's,
too. I swear, I say it all the time. I'm like, I could literally just live in the woods. Like, that is
yeah,
my
yeah.
space. Like, nature is just my space. I love it. I love it so much.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny. This one thing I found out about being in a New York City. Talk about a quick way to filter out your dates. Most women in New York City, you're like, oh, I'd love to be in the woods. It's like, oh, date's over. Okay, cool. You
Yes. Yeah. I'm
know.
originally from Connecticut. So,
Right. Right.
we're neighbors there.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of the people I grew up with, when I would tell them, I'm like, oh yeah, we're going on vacation. So because I had 4 kids, right? I had my kids really young. I was 17 when I had the first one. So I was broke for a long time. And I said, I want to take my kids to travel. So we flew into Nevada. We saw Supercross in Las Vegas, went up to Utah to Zion,
Nice.
drove down to Arizona, and then across to California. People said, did you have to camp because you couldn't afford a hotel? And I'm like,
Ah,
no. Camping is a way of life, man. I
yeah.
enjoy a hotel, but I love camping too. I
Right.
right, I enjoy those, like that little shower that they
Right.
have. I think
Right.
that's cool as hell. I
Oh
love
man. Yeah, and like a campfire, and like there's
it. Yeah.
nothing, man. When I was in my van, when I was vanning, whenever I could, I would sleep outside. Sometimes I would just sleep right on the freaking ground, man, because like when you going to sleep with heavy eyes and the last thing you see is stars, and
Yes.
then you wake up and the sun is blaring on you. Hey,
Yeah.
we all like different stuff. That to me, that's better than a million drum sets in one room.
Yes.
I
I
love it. It's my
agree.
favorite. Yes,
Yes. Have
I
you
love it.
gone up to Joshua Tree?
Oh, I've been to Joshua Tree many a times. Yeah, my
Yeah.
my believe it or not, my dad used to live in Death Valley.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he lived. My
Oh,
dad, my dad lived in Death Valley for a decade, and so I would go see him, and we would go all over that area and stuff.
that's so awesome. Yeah, the night sky there. Wow, it's so beautiful. So
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
pretty amazing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so awesome. Yeah, see, it's all about the camp life. And now you get to, so are you taking a tent with you in your bag when you do the walk?
Yeah, so when I do my walk, yeah, I'll be doing the first half of it, the first like cooler months, probably like the first uh like 3 months or whatever. I'll be taking my backpack,
Okay.
right? So like a tent and like a backpack and all of that. Then when the weather gets really warm, I'm going to trade that in, and I'm going to be doing a push cart.
Okay.
Because once I hit the desert, I'm going to be sweating so much. It's going to be so gnarly because I'm going to try to average 20 to 30 miles a day.
Okay.
Yeah. And so that's another reason why I'm here in West Virginia, because I'm going to be training for the next 2 months of just walking and just, hitting that. Like I can already do like, I'll walk 15 miles like that. Like it's like nothing, but I want to try to get up to 30 before I go.
Okay. Yeah, you know what people use down here in Florida sometimes in the summer? It's like a little headband and it's got an umbrella off of it.
Yeah, you're right.
Like that might be helpful too.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna have a link to all that. I'm putting up an Amazon wish list. So yeah, so people can like donate to help me get gear. And yeah, they have those with like the mosquito nets and everything.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yes. Awesome. That's awesome. I am so excited for this walk. Oh my God.
Thank you.
And think of the people you're going to bring together. Like, that's so cool.
Right. Yeah. It's going to be cool. I go back and forth, like, what the fuck did I get myself into like, this is going to be awesome. So, maybe I should have just said like from the beginning of the Brooklyn Bridge to the end of the Brooklyn Bridge or something.
Yeah. Right. But then you would have kept walking.
I know.
And like, I'll go a little further and a little further.
Yeah. Right.
Because, entrepreneurs are workaholics and we got to just keep going and going.
I know. I love it. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah, you would have found yourself in California either way, doing that walk.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
the Sundial Bridge is in Redding, California, where and that's where I'm from. That's my hometown.
Yeah.
And so, walking from bridge to bridge is, symbolic of like, just bridging many gaps and, and all that. I mean, everybody walks from coast to coast. So I just figured, I really fell in love with New York and Brooklyn and stuff. I've never lived there. It's a great place. It's a great place, but, pretty much no matter what, I don't really foresee myself settling down and getting a full-on. I like to be in many different places, so that's why I'll get a lease for a month or so here, a month or so there. So like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, me too.
I want to live everywhere. Like Washington State, I love Washington State. Like I love California. I love New York. Like Maine. Like Florida, Texas, like I like all the states. Every state has got something really cool to offer.
It sure does. It's like it's like that's one thing. I've been I've done the U.S. well over 20 times from coast to coast, right? And I've been like that, and and you hear people like all the time, like, oh man, that's so shit, man. It's like the U.S. is an incredibly beautiful, diverse place.
Yeah.
Just absolutely so beautiful, I get just as much out, like seeing the salt flats in Utah. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yes.
Right?
Zion National Park in southern Utah is like one of my favorite places ever.
Yeah.
Retreats with couples or parents with kids, that is my go-to place because there's something, it forces you to connect. Like you have no choice but to connect while you're there. I love that.
Right. Cool.
Yeah. So, I was going to ask you a question.
Yeah. Whatever else you've got for me.
Yeah. So, gosh, I don't know where that question went. It's like completely gone. I'm so excited. Like I'm seeing the walk happening in my head. And I'm like, this is so freaking cool.
Yeah.
All these people, the vlogging, I love it. Yeah, you're definitely going to meet a lot of people along the
Right.
way.
Yeah. And anybody who's watching this, I'm going to say, I have a YouTube channel. I just started. I only have a couple of videos on there. Beats from the Core, obviously. And so I'm going to be doing, I'm going to try to put up as many videos as I can. I'm just doing everything through my iPhone. I'm going to, I'm going to be asking other people to go on walks of their own. Maybe they could, shoot like video, like snaps of it or whatever, and then hashtag walk to connect, right? And then and go on the journey along with me. So,
Yes.
yeah, and so I'm gonna try to keep it consistent. Like try to post 2 to 3 YouTube videos at a time. And now, if I could raise enough money, so my friends who did one of the van life documentaries, if I raise enough money, I could hire them to do the documentary, because they really want to follow me bits and pieces of my journey, and then put it together and make an actual movie out of it, for like the history, or for like the Travel Channel and shit.
Yes,
like that.
yes. Brilliant. That's
Yeah.
awesome. That's
Yeah.
really awesome. All for the love of music.
Right.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it.
Right on.
That is so freaking cool. That's good idea.
And the cool thing, you didn't even know about this before we started our call.
I know. Yeah, I had no idea this was coming. That is so cool.
I've been working on it for a long time, so.
Yeah, and now here it is.
I know, it's in 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
are you still talking to the stewardess girl?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Like meet you on the trip, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. For now, everything is good. Yeah, dude, she's all about it. And she gets free airfare too, so it's actually legit. It's not a stress. So yeah. So we'll see what happens, where that goes. I don't know.
That's awesome. And so I'm imagining you told her like you're an entrepreneur, and this means like life's a little different. Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's that full disclosure. Like I said, when any of the dates that I go out on, I think that gets cleared up pretty quickly. Especially when being a 46-year-old male, it's like and like being in like New York City. Somebody comes over to your apartment, and everything that you own can fit inside of your bag. They're like, fuck, man, where's your couch? Like, where's your TV?
Yeah.
You're like, hey, and so that's either a turn on or a turn off.
Yeah.
And I have found that there's no gray area, which I really like, because I can't, it's hard for me to function in gray area.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's the part of the musician brain or whatever. So it's good. It's good for me to know that. And not most of the time it's like, oh, okay, I'm out of here. And it's like, all right, later.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you don't have to worry about anybody stealing anything from you when they come over to visit, right?
Right. Yeah. Right.
There's always an upside.
Right.
So, that's kind of funny though. I like that.
Yeah.
All right. So you've got your school going online where people can come and take lessons. You got your walk coming up.
Right.
We've got this stewardess that may be a thing in the future. So we might have to shut down all the other women that are going to try to get in contact with you after watching the walk.
We'll see.
So now, what was the thing, would you say, because I think coming out is hard, or at least for me, it was really difficult at first I would take my phone and I would pull up Instagram and I would slide it over to the live, and I just couldn't push that button. And I was like, you know what, you just need to do this. Like, this is a disservice if you don't do it. What was the thing for you that made you really say, like, I'm doing this? Like, did you ever have the negative self-talk? Did you ever experience that, of the thoughts of maybe you weren't going to be good enough? And if you did,
You mean for being an entrepreneur?
yeah, to really putting yourself out there. Because, like, in my brick and mortar, I was like,
Yeah.
I'm doing it. Like, but something about the online was terrifying for me.
Mm-hmm. Did I ever experience the negative
Like,
self-talk?
any negative self-talk, yeah.
Still to this day, yes.
Okay.
Hell yeah, hell yeah, all the time. Yeah, especially when you make your own money and you have a great month, and then the next month you don't sell anything. Hell, oh man, yeah. And that's why it's very important. I didn't realize the value of investing in coaches until I started investing in coaches.
Yeah.
And I would hear, and listen, I like in the entrepreneur thing, I would hear that and I'm like, I thought it was a selling technique, like, oh, you need to buy my coaching program. And it's like, no. And then every month goes by and you don't make any, you're doing the exact same thing, getting the exact same results. And then you see these people that are like knocking out 6 figures and 7 figures, and they're like, oh, well, I got a coach. And you're like, maybe I'll get a coach. And then I did it, and then all these different results started happening. It's like, oh, man. And so the difference now is that, like, when I have these coaches now that are just amazing. Impact Tribe, what up, Impact Tribe? Love you. And the cats from the Impact Tribe. And so now I have these self-talk and everything. And I write it down and I send it to my coaches and we get on a call, and then I actually get a direction, like, okay, for, blah, blah, blah. And I don't have to figure it out myself. And it's actually been the most empowering thing I've ever done. So yeah, I just went through that, last week. I had a turn of events that had happened that I wanted to transpire with this walk, and that didn't happen. And I was like, oh man, and I was thinking about not doing it like that. I got my coach on the phone. 20 minutes later, I was back on track.
Good. Yes.
Right. So
yes.
So it's like, yes, I still go through that. I started I've started companies before that went well and ended up not going so well. And like, the thing about regular business, right? And then the thing about playing music my whole life is I think other musicians will be able to relate to this, but when I got into, quote unquote, being an entrepreneur, I remember people were like talking about, oh, this failure thing, and I would laugh because I'm like, I've been failing on drums since I was 10 years old. Like, I've already been up on stage and like, I was like, oh wow, everyone looks like that's bad. I'm like, that's literally what I do every single day. Is I'm like, well, I can't play this, and then I do that, and it sounds like shit for like 3 months, and then I play it, and then maybe I'll go perform it 8 times and it sounds good, and then I fucking wreck it. Like, that's literally being an artist, right? If somebody's a vocalist, they have like a sore throat like that. So artists are like, when you're on point, it's like this big, like, you fail every single, like, more so than almost anything, I would say.
Yeah.
Right. So like, but the more you practice it, see, I never get negative self-talk if I could pull something off, because I know that through repetition, you could do anything.
Yes.
I already know that.
Yes.
I literally know, I get self-talk on when I attach stuff to expectations, like, fuck, I should have had this done by Tuesday and I didn't, and blah, 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 like that. So I constantly have to reel back and get rid of expectations.
Yes.
And let's, if something takes longer, it's okay. If it takes shorter, it's okay. And I noticed this because I don't put expectations when I'm learning like a new fill, a new jazz ride thing like that. I already know, like, this is going to take me 6 months for this to sound good.
Yeah.
And I don't even worry about it. I'm like, oh, I just know that I just have to practice it, right? Hours on the practice pad and like that. And it's a game of like this every day. Boom, boom, boom. Then, 3 years later, wow, damn, you play that drum beat so good. It's like, yeah, I've played it for 6 years now, right?
Yeah.
As entrepreneurs, we forget that. So that's my every day. I try to bring that in, and most days I fail terribly at it because I'm like, fuck, I should have closed that deal. I should have done that. I should have done. It's like, okay, I could just wait. I could be patient.
Exactly. Yes. It will show up when it is supposed to. I absolutely believe that. One of the things I teach people is, so I like to redefine words, right?
Okay.
So for me, what I say is the word failure just means excellent attempt, try again. Doesn't mean anything's over. And that's basically exactly what you said. You got to keep trying.
Right.
That's what failing is. It's all about trying.
Right. Right.
And I don't know about you. I'd rather fail than regret. So I'll fail every day for the rest of my life than to regret not trying.
Exactly. Yeah. And the more comfort, one thing that I really wrapped my head around, the more we can be okay with failing and wrap our heads around the act of failing and all that, the more we can I think it's a great forgiveness tool, because then we could look at others like, it was really the healing point of my dissolved marriage and all this, when I was really like I'm not going to place blame on anybody or whatever. I realized I was like, wow, we all make mistakes. We all have I forgave myself. I forgave the other party, and just moved on, because no matter who did what, the marriage itself failed. Okay, so you look at that, and then it's like and you could either stay there, or you could just look at it and assess it, take the good parts, and just move on.
Yep.
What the fuck?
Yeah. I think it's good in everything. Like,
yeah,
we can find good in everything.
Right. Yeah. Yep. And we can, and by the same token, you can find bad. You will, whatever you're looking for, you'll find it. My coach has told me, it's like, if you're constantly stressed about how broke you are, that's where you'll say, if you're looking for this problem, you'll find it. That, like, I had somebody, one of my teachers the other day, I saw them put it online. They said about how this student dropped off and this student dropped off, and they're like, and they said, they were like, wow, my day is already starting off really bad. I could tell the whole rest of this week is going to suck. And I commented back. I said, you can be sure that it will. It's, of course, you already said how your week is going to go. Yeah. But at the same time, you can tell the universe, you can retract that statement.
Yes.
And say, well, maybe the week won't suck. And then you could, like that. It's as much as people want to chalk it up to be woo-woo and all that. Look, I told somebody this the other day. if you want to discount that type of thinking, what UFC fighter, boxer, football team goes into like a playoff or like a fight or a match thinking, no, fuck, we'll see what happens. They think I'm gonna win. I'm like that. They rehearse the win. They rehearse it. They like with their arms up and like that. And like even if they fail, they accept failure with sportsmanlike, but they don't accept it as if a failure. They're like, no, I'm gonna come back. We're gonna get a rematch. This happened. So they're still in the stance of winning.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, because if every sports team just said, we didn't win, let's quit, we'd have no sports. We'd really have nothing. I don't know what kind of computer you're using, but I'm on a Mac. This wouldn't exist. My Logitech camera wouldn't exist. Like if people just said, screw it, I can't do it.
Right.
Yeah, you can. You definitely can.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, and people do think that that manifesting is a lot of woo-woo, and it's happened so much for me that there's no way. Like there's no way I can deny that this isn't true. Like I put people, when I want to interview somebody, I'll actually write their name on my gratitude board before I even contact them. So like before I even contacted you, I didn't put you on my vision board. I put you on my gratitude board to say
I love it.
I was thankful that we were able to do this together.
Wow.
That's how my mind works. And I try to practice the win before it happens. So yes.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me. This was great.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. And I'm excited and definitely going to pump this out everywhere so that we can get people on this walk, helping out, going to the GoFundMe page. Again, if you're watching on YouTube, the links will be in the description. If you're listening on podcast, it's Beats from the Core, BeatsFromtheCore.com. And that's your handle for Instagram and everything, but it has what is the little thing called at the end of it?
The
underscore.
Instagram has the underscore. If they go to beatsfromthecore.com, all of that will be linked out there. I want people to reach out to me on Instagram. Say the biggest thing is, of course, a like and a follow. We all like that, but I want people to interact, like talk to me. I have so many people jump in my DMs and stuff like that. And if there's any musicians out there that there's like this big, everybody's trying to figure out how to make money, right? And everybody's trying to do it the old school model of like, playing gigs and stuff like that. Listen, if you're a musician, right, you can learn how. I had no idea how to teach. Just because you could play doesn't mean that you could teach, but you can learn how to teach. And now, you see, before, being a music teacher was really hard because people had to drive to you. So your customer base was those 50 people that could come across town to come to you. That's it. That's your entire customer base. Now, it's like I teach people how to be virtual music teachers. So now your customer base is who has an internet connection, and that's a couple people, right?
Yeah.
That's a couple people that really have an internet connection.
Yes.
So as in like the entire world. So they could contact me if they have any questions about that, and also private lessons and just coaching in general. I'm here to help, and I'm fucking stoked about it. So
yes, and you're so good, and you bring such good energy. I love it. I love it. Yes.
All right.
So
thank you.
yeah, dude, when you're done with this walk, though, you're gonna have to take a break, but then I'm gonna want to recap.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have you come back.
Okay. Cool.
I'm sure you're gonna learn so much about yourself.
Yes.
And about the country and the people you interact with. And
Yes.
Yeah, I am behind you 100%. I will do everything I can to help.
Great.
And,
Great.
we'll get that Amazon wish list even promoted. Get you some
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you so
content,
much.
everything. Yes.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I'll be reaching out to you on like Tuesday or Wednesday, and those links will be built, and it'll be game time. So,
All right.
again, thank you for having me. I'm super appreciative, and yeah, and I just want to tell your audience, thanks for listening, and I hope to meet more new people.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. Awesome.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
you're welcome, and I hope you have a good week, and stay in rhythm, and and leave and find your core and go for a walk.
Yes. Yes. Oh, what was the hashtag? The hashtag was walk.
Well, I'm gonna build. Yeah, I might be building a hashtag
Okay.
called um, uh, Walk to Connect,
Okay.
and then hashtag is gonna be Walk to Connect, Beats from the Core, and Beats for a Cause.
Okay. All right. And
Those
we
two.
can find that on your website later when it's
Yep.
coming together. Actually,
Yep.
by the time this gets published, it
Yeah.
will probably all be out there. So,
Wicked. Okay.
all right, perfect. So we know how to stay on this with you.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm excited to take this trip with you. This is so freaking
Great.
cool.
I
Awesome.
I can't wait. Okay. Well, thanks for having me. I'm out of here.
All right, I'll see you later.
Okay. Bye. See
Bye.
ya.